the people that were sitting there and the people sitting on the box next to me. Now, next to me was all the players from Blainville who were not playing that night, including
Marcus Succi.
Marcus Succi. Thank you very much. I was about to say souci en français. Marcus Succi was sitting there as well. And my evening started off rather interestingly when I saw him and a couple of other players sitting down as well. And, they're kids. So they're 17, 18, 19 years old and everything. They're hanging out. And the next thing you know, one of them takes out their phones and he's looking at Uber Eats. And I'm sitting literally right beside them. And I'm on Twitter because I'm doing live tweets, right? So then I'm seeing them and they're ordering poke. Which, full disclosure, my wife is a huge fan of. And when I told her the story, she was like, oh, those boys sure know how to eat well. And the next thing you know, Suchi looks over at me, seeing that I'm on Twitter. He's like, hey, you're not tweeting that, are you? And I'm like, what? Like, tweeting what? He's like, oh, you're seeing us ordering Uber Eats. You're not going to start tweeting that, the boys are eating, some junk food or whatever and everything. And I just started laughing. I'm like, no, it's okay. Your secret is safe with me. But who says I'm a member of the media? And he's like, no, we saw you live tweet, buddy. We saw you live tweet. So it was a pretty funny experience.
So was there secret safe with you, Patrick?
Oh my God! Yes, it was. only a handful of people, plus the hundreds and hundreds of puck and roll fans down now. The other story as well. I mean, okay, I'm not going to divulge the name because I promised I wouldn't. However, I'm sitting down. I'm watching the warm up and everything, and then at one point, I'm reading an article about the Expos because, for those who don't know, I'm a huge baseball fan. And of course, I've been following very closely the whole story about the Tampa Bay Rays possibly coming back to or splitting their season with Montreal, yada, yada, yada. And then someone goes, yeah, it's interesting, that story. In French, of course. So I turn around and I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm like, not really recognizing the guy because he's wearing full face mask and everything, right? And he's like, yeah, I think they're going to come back and da-da-da. So next thing you know, we're talking for like 10, 15 minutes about baseball. And then I still don't know who the heck this guy is. And I'm just thinking, okay, he might be another recruiter, another member of the media or whatever, And then at one point he says something, but he kind of mumbles. And I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, this damn mask. And he takes off his mask. And I was kind of shocked. And I was like, oh, hi. And he goes, oh, hi. I get, oh, great. Let me guess. You didn't recognize me before. Now you're starstruck. I'm like, whoa, buddy, you weren't that big of a star. You were very good, but you weren't that. And so he starts laughing. The only thing I can say, I promise, because he said, please, come on, just keep this on the deal because, I'm just passing by, da-da-da. He is an NHL scout. He is a former player, NHL player. He does speak French, so I'm going to have to leave it at that just in case and everything. But it was a very, very interesting conversation. I was like, wow, I'm sitting beside a former NHLer who is now a scout, and we're talking about baseball at a Q game. Yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I mean, it was a very eventful first hockey game for you after how many, months or years?
Oh, Christ. It has been a while since I've seen a live hockey game myself. I mean, well, the last time I saw one was actually at the beginning of the past season against the season prior against St. Louis, as a matter of fact, at the beginning of the year. And that was actually that one big game that Jonathan Drouin had 4 points or something like that, and he spoke to the crowd, and the crowd went bananas and gave him a giant ovation. And
the wonderful ovation one, yeah,
the ovation one, yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
That was the last time I saw a live hockey game. So, especially after the year I just got as well, on a personal note, it felt so good to be at a live event, even if it was junior major, which by the way is very good caliber hockey.
So, Pat, this was a very eventful first game back, as we just established. Mm-hmm. But are we going to go to more games over the course of the season as a panel?
Well, do you guys want to?
I mean, I wouldn't be against it. How about everyone else?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely invited to more games. Well, first of all, we're officially going to the Olympique Gatineau's game next Saturday against, I believe it's Val d'Or. Yeah, the Forêt de Val d'Or. Blainville is pretty much an open invitation as well. I know Scott is itching to go whenever he's available as well. I'm probably attempt some more games as well. Josh as well has been sent me an interesting message to this morning, being like, "So when am I going back to Kitchener, buddy? See, yeah." And especially since we got Jacki or Jacki that going back to Kitchener. Yeah, we're definitely going to be covering more, and this is something that I'm so happy to be doing this on so many levels, because not only does it gives us a little bit of exposure, I mean, obviously, but also it makes us understand the game a little more. We get to see prospects directly. We could talk about on this segment as well. And you guys have been absolutely outstanding when it comes to coverage and also just the general knowledge of things. So yeah, we're definitely gonna keep doing this. And also, I'm feeling a little guilty because we have to move on to another segment. But Scott, I hope you don't mind me just filling in your chair for the Prospect Heroes segment this time around.
Honestly, Patrick, I've kind of been out of the loop for the past week or so with the guys at the Olympics anyway, so I think it's best that I leave it to those who have been following for the past
Well, how about we send it to another pro? We call him the professor, the historian, Mr. Joshua Rosa. He's ready for his segment of On This Day in Habs History.
On this day in Habs history,
on this day, October 4th, the year of our Lord 1958, Maurice the Rocket Richard scored 2 goals, while Henri the Pocket Rocket Richard scored 1 goal and 2 assists as the Montreal Canadiens won 6-3 against the NHL All-Stars. That's right, the Stanley Cup champions used to play a selection of All-Stars from the rest of the league, and Montreal won. Of the 21 All-Star games played in this style, 7 were won by the Cup champions, and 2 were from the Canadiens. On October 4th, 2019, Cam Atkinson scored the only goal the Blue Jackets would score against the Toronto Maple Leafs as they lose 4-1. However, this was the 6th straight season opener that Atkinson had scored. Only 2 other players have been able to do that, one being Mud Bruneto, who also ended the world's longest NHL game as a rookie in 1936 at 2:25 a.m. in the 6th overtime, scoring on goalie Laurent Chabot of the Montreal Maroons. From 1940 to 1946, he scored in the opening games. And the only other player is Canadian Yvon Cournoyer, who scored from 1973 to 1979 on each season opener. On October 5th, the year of our Lord 2001, the Montreal Canadiens signed Leafs legend, the killer Doug Gilmour, so named for his apparent resemblance to Charles Manson, the killer. He was eventually traded back to Toronto in 2003 for a 6th-round pick, where Gilmour would just play 1 more game before tearing his ACL and retiring from play. On October 5th, a couple of Montreal Canadiens were born. Goalie Laurent Chabot was born in 1900. The Alaskan Nate Thompson was born in 1984. And the Montreal veteran of 30 games in 2017-18, Logan Shaw, was born in 1992. But there must have been some hockey gods magic in the air the day of October 5th, 1965. 2 of the greatest NHL players of all time were not only born on the exact same day, in the exact same year, but in the exact same city, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. One would stay in his hometown to become a star and Stanley Cup winner before an unceremonious exit that we won't talk about right now. And one would move to the greener pastures of the Seal City to become one of the most electric offensive forces to hit the ice. I am, of course, talking about the 2 and only Patrick Lortie and Mario Lemieux.
Oh my. You know what's funny, Josh? Well, first of all, thank you for the Lemieux little quip. That was obviously very satisfying. But I never understood the Charles Manson, Doug Gilmore reference because they don't look anything alike, man. I mean, the only thing killer about Doug Gilmore was the mullet he used to sport in the 90s. You know? And also being, of course, famous for smashing the glass on the penalty box, one evening.
After Jordan Sultan mullets, Barry Melrose still has his.
Oh my goodness, yes, it's true. Business in the front, party in the back.
Just like John Merrill and Michael Pizzetta.
The Flow, baby. We're going to call him the Flow from now on.
Pizzetta's hair is tremendous.
It's absolutely amazing. But I mean, the greatest mullet of all time still has to go with the man whose helmet actually resembled the hair itself. It was Jaromir Jagr.
Yes,
that was the greatest mullet of all time.
There's no comparison to any other hockey player ever.
Although shout out to my dad as well, who had a great mullet in the 90s as well, but I'm sure he'll never admit that. All right, at this time, another segment of Around the NHL with our good friend Anthony DeMarco. How's it going, buddy?
Not too bad, man. How about you? How was the game last Friday?
It was absolutely spectacular. It was a cool experience looking at it from such a different angle. But you know what? You're going to have to go back and listen to the rest of the show, dude, because I already talked about that stuff.
You see, that's the bad part about being the last one to the party. You miss all the important stuff.
Exactly. But you know what? On good news, though, is that we actually have a lot to talk about today, even though we're only going to put our focus most on one, maybe two topics compared to last week. So, and obviously, it's been around the Twitter a lot because he has become a new Twitter star. And of course, I'm talking about Robin Lehner. Serious accusations, man. I mean, the fact that he's calling out Alain Vigneault, the Flyers organization, Nolan Patrick's name has been dropped. For those who are not in the loop, Anthony, maybe can you give us a recap of exactly what this story is about?
So essentially, Robin Lehner came out late Saturday night and made not so subtle allegations that there was some malpractice going on within the Flyers organization, kind of pointed in the general direction of Alain Vigneault and hinted that maybe there was some usage of some medication that wasn't prescribed to the athletes. And for the love of me, I cannot pronounce the name. So maybe Pat, you could help me out with the names of the medications.
I don't know. Carry on. I'm not a doctor.
But I think I've been led to understand that they're to help you sleep and sedatives.
Yeah.
But or sedatives. I don't know how to pronounce any medical terms. But
sedatives.
Sedatives. There you go. Now you know why I didn't do well in the medical part of school. But
I heard that, yeah.
But more on a serious note, so Lehner has often had a lot of negative things to say about Alain Vigneault. He did so last year, criticizing the way Vigneault handled Carter Hart in Hart's, I guess it was his third year last year, calling him out publicly, kind of benching him at times and whatnot. And then a young college student who actually follows me by the name of Drew Wheeler came out with a report that he cited a source saying that the Flyers medical staff gave Nolan Patrick non-prescribed medication to treat his traumatic head injury. And since then, this kid, Drew Wheeler, who does follow me and by all accounts is a nice guy and whatnot, has walked back those comments, has acknowledged that they were inaccurate and premature. And Lehner has since walked back these comments during an interview with Emily Kaplan on ESPN.com, saying that he was not accusing Alain Vigneault of directly handing out pills, like a mob boss or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to Robin Lehner is a guy who is outspoken in terms of players'